Silver Gypsies. So we are just leaving the Grand Canyon after two great days here. We were with our friend Joe Magley from Arkansas, and he's left us after 6 days with us. He's heading back to back east, heading to Oklahoma for the night. Everyone knows our last name is Salter. He's meeting up with some other Salters, so we feel a bit hard done by there. But anyway, it's been great having him participate in our journey. Great fella. So today we're heading to Prescott in Arizona. We're heading there via Flagstaff. We're going to go to the Harley shop there and see if I can get a new back tyre. And then we're going through down 89A, famous bike road, down through Sedona and Jerome.
Few roads in Arizona have as much variety in landscape, flora and recreational activities as Arizona's State Route 89A. Stretching from Flagstaff to Prescott, segments of this road are considered a must-do for anyone seeking some of the most scenic views found in Arizona outside of the Grand Canyon. The segment from just south of Flagstaff to Sedona in the pine forests indigenous to the area descends quickly through some windy hairpin turns through the tree-lined section of Oak Creek before finally emerging into the red rock country of Sedona. The dramatic change in scenery is one that you have to see to believe.
89A certainly has to be considered one of the best riding routes in Arizona, as well as the entire western half of the US. You start out in the lush, rugged forests of Flagstaff and work your way south through Old Creek Canyon to the Red Rock Formation surrounded town of Sedona, Arizona. The higher regions of the canyon display forests full of aspens, oaks and maples. And if you go in the October-November time frame like we did, you might be lucky enough to see the aspens and oaks in their full fall glory. You quickly descend down into the canyon and get an up-close look at some postcard-perfect rock formations and beautiful landscapes made up of various different colour rock walls. Just north of Sedona in Oak Creek Canyon, you can give into gravity on a natural water slide. An 80-foot stretch of Oak Creek rushes through a narrow red rock flume at Slide Rock State Park, where visitors are whisked down an incline into a cold pool. The natural water slide sees most of the action, but trails in the park lead to wading pools and fishing holes along a half-mile stretch of Oak Creek. Algae makes the sandstone flume slick, which helps build momentum on the slide but makes getting out of the water a bit difficult. Wear water shoes with tread to avoid an unfortunate slip and fall. The speed and bumpiness of this fun slide is not for everyone. Near the parking lot there are 15 picnic areas in a meadow, or find pullouts along the scenic drive and enjoy refreshing water slide picnics or dips in the cool waters of Oak Creek.
Sedona is a city that straddles the county line between Coconino and Yavapai counties in the northern Verde Valley region of Arizona. Its population is around 10,000 and it sits at an elevation of 4,300 feet.
Sedona's main attraction is its array of red sandstone formations. The formations appear to glow in brilliant orange and red when illuminated by the rising or setting sun. The red rocks form a popular backdrop for many activities, ranging from spiritual pursuits to the hundreds of hiking and mountain biking trails. Sedona is also the home to the nationally recognised McDonald's, with turquoise arches instead of the traditional golden arches.
Sedona was named after Sedona Schneble, whose husband Theodore was the city's first postmaster. She was celebrated for her hospitality and industriousness. Her mother, Amanda Miller, claimed to have named the maid up because it sounded pretty. Sedona is noted for its mild climate and vibrant arts community. Uptown Sedona is dense with new age shops, spas and art galleries. On the town's outskirts, numerous trailheads access Red Rocks State Park, which offers birdwatching, hiking and picnicking spots.
We arrived in Sedona, and as soon as we hopped off the bike, we were invaded by several people wanting to look at the beautiful custom paint on my bike. This happens most places we go. People used to ogle Stu's bike, sorry, but these days they walk straight past it on their way to mine. My bike was painted by a legendary painter on the Sunshine Coast at home, Rod Tickle from East Coast Airbrushing.
We searched a lunch stop uptown and settled on the Cowboy Club Grill and Spirits. Mish chose the elk chops and I devoured an awesome prime rib.
Unfortunately, we only had a brief stop in Sedona on our way to Prescott, but we'll be back for a longer stay because we haven't been anywhere quite like Sedona. Small town charm, world-class beauty, local shops, restaurants and lodging, epic views in every direction.
Located near the top of Cleopatra Hill between Prescott and Flagstaff is the historic copper mining town of Jerome. Once known as the wickedest town in the West, Jerome was born a copper mining camp, growing from a settlement of tents into a roaring mining community. In the late 19th century, the United Verde mine, developed by William A. Clark, extracted ore bearing copper, gold, silver and other metals from the larger of two deposits. The United Verde extension, owned by James Douglas Jr., depended on another huge deposit. In total, the copper deposits discovered in Jerome's vicinity were among the richest ever found. After its founding in 1876, Jerome was at one time the fourth largest city in Arizona, with the population peaking at around 15,000 in the 1920s. The Great Depression slowed the mining operation, and the claims eventually went to Phelps Dodge, who still owns the claims to this day. World War II greatly increased the demand for copper, but after the war, demand decreased dramatically. With Jerome's economy completely dependent upon the demand for copper, Phelps Dodge mine closed in 1953. The remaining population of around 50 to 100 people promoted the town as a historic ghost town. In 1967, Jerome was designated a National Historic District by the federal government. Jerome made news in 1917 when labour unrest involving the Industrial Workers' Union of the World led to the expulsion at gunpoint of about 60 members, who were loaded onto a cattle car and shipped west. Production at the mines, always subject to fluctuations, boomed during World War I, fell thereafter, rose again, then fell again during and after the Great Depression. As the ore deposits ran out, the mines closed for good in 1953, and the population dwindled to fewer than 100.
More than a century later, Jerome's rough and tumble spirit has been tempered but not completely tamed, which helped the town narrowly escape a fate that befell many others that fell to ruin after the linchpin mines closed. Today, Jerome is known for being a hillside destination for visitors eager to discover more about the Verde Valley's mines, wines, fine arts and spectral spirits. This town serves up its history with a side of humour. There's still a bordello on Main Street, for example, but the modern incarnation is meant to sate guests' appetites for burgers only. Downtown Jerome streets and stairways wind past several tasting rooms and bottle shops that showcase the viticulture of the Verde Valley. At least half a dozen offer curated lists of wines or ciders available by the glass, flight or bottle. Jerome's restaurants tend to include at least one local brand on their menus too.
Catastrophic fires and violent deaths from the town's early days have led to Jerome's ghost town status. Over the years, there have been several accounts of ghosts and apparitions that roam the town's historic buildings and neighbourhoods. Evening ghost tours and spirit walks introduce visitors to the local hotels, houses, hospital and high school that former residents said are to haunt.
copper mines may have closed, but then by no means forgotten. Just above the former Little Daisy mine, what once served as the Douglas family mansion has been converted into the Museum and Visitor Centre for Jerome State Historic Park, which contains displays, demonstrations and tours related to the town's mining boom. And throughout Jerome, placards share the history of both ruins and remaining buildings, inspiring renewed appreciations for the Renaissance the town's residents have been able to craft themselves. Turns out all that rough tumbling revealed the gem that had been lying underneath all this time, ready to shine once again.
Oh look, Lordy, well look, see what the Lord has done. Look, just look and see what the Lord has done. See what the Lord has done. And I know that my time ain't long.
Well, soon, Lordy, one morning, death come creeping in the room.
Soon, one morning, death come creeping in the room. Death come creeping in the room. And I know that my time ain't long. Oh death, down that lonesome road. Death, oh death, yeah, down that lonesome road. Down that lonesome road. And I know that my time ain't long. Well, soon, Lordy, one morning, death come creeping in the room. Soon, one morning, death come creeping in the room. Death come creeping in the room. And I know that my time ain't long. Oh death, down that lonesome road. Death, oh death, yeah, down that lonesome road. Down that lonesome road. And I know that my time ain't long.
In 1864, Prescott was designated as the capital of the Arizona Territory, replacing the temporary capital of Fort Whipple. The territorial capital was moved to Tucson in 1867. Prescott again became the territorial capital in 1877 until Phoenix became the capital in 1889. Prescott has a population of 45,000 and sits at an elevation of 5,300 feet.
Prescott has a rich history as a frontier gold and silver mining town. Mining and settlers brought frequent conflict with Native American tribes in the area, including the Yavapai and Apache. Prescott was a stereotypical Wild West town during the latter half of the 19th century. Famous residents include Doc Holliday and Virgil Earp of the gunfight at the OK Corral. The makeshift wooden town burned to the ground several times in the first decade of the 20th century, which finally resulted in the town being rebuilt in brick. The modern city subsists on tourism, especially around its storied past. It is host to the self-proclaimed world's oldest rodeo, running continuously since 1988. The rodeo, one of the most famous in the United States, draws some 35,000 tourists a year.
The mineral wealth of Prescott included a good quantity of both gold and silver and made the hamlet the most important city in northern Arizona. The mining camps brought much prosperity, but also much racism. On July 12, 1863, the miners of Lynx Creek passed a resolution banning Asian and Mexican miners. Similar resolutions were passed in the other mining districts. Since there was no significant Mexican population, there was little to temper the racism of the new Anglos from the eastern United States. There were also very few women on the frontier at the time. An 1864 census found just 40, 31 of them were Mexican, which combined with the racism of the territory led to frequent allegations of sexual promiscuity. By the 1870s, as Prescott became increasingly civilised, it took on the values of Victorian society, including its sexual standards. There were exceptions, however. Mary de Crow, a white woman arriving around 1863, had a relationship with a black Texan, breaking taboos around interracial relationships. She later married a Mexican blacksmith, started a boarding house with him. Public opinion calmed down after this, and she eventually became much loved. Another legendary Prescott woman, Mary Sawyer, wore men's clothes, drank hard, swore hard, and worked a mining claim. Sawyer's breaking of gender norms, however, resulted in her 1877 institutionalisation in an insane asylum, in which she remained until her death in 1902.
Whiskey Row is full of some of Prescott's oldest history. This street is named Whiskey Row because of the large number of saloons in one place. Whiskey Row developed after a fire in July of 1900, which destroyed the entire block. When reconstructed, there was an inordinate amount of bars rebuilt in the area. At one point, the block hosted a total of 40 saloons. This high number of saloons were primarily due to the gold rush culture that drew all kinds of settlers, cowboys, prospectors, bawdy girls, gamblers, and even outlaws to the town. Mining towns were no stranger to shootouts and enjoying the bar atmosphere after a long day of looking for gold. And Prescott is not any different. Present-day Prescott celebrates the history of Whiskey Row with annual shootout events on this very block. Nowadays, Whiskey Row is known for its art galleries, candy shops, and of course its famous saloons. One stroll around this particular beautiful block would show you how full of life and history this town actually is.
After a walk around downtown exploring the shops, we happened upon the local Harley shop. A few more t-shirts are now in the collection. Later that night, we settled into Jersey Lily's saloon for dinner and drinks, and planning our next day's journey to Kingman, Arizona.